Wonderhussy here, just tooling around southeastern Oregon in the beautiful Steens Mountains, which are right on the edge of the Alvord dry lake. That's right, I'm in the Alvord desert. It's one of the most, it's one of the most desolate places in Oregon and, well, in the western U.S. And I've been to a lot of desolate places, so I should know. Alvord Dry Lake is this huge, vast, surreal, flat playa that has this really dramatic, beautiful mountain range right up alongside it on the western side. And so I drove up this awesome canyon on this overgrown 2-track road, and you would never realize that this 2-track road goes right over the top of an old abandoned homestead. That's right, I'm standing on top of the house right now. And wait till you hear what kind of house this was. Okay, so the story of this place was, there were two brothers, the Weston brothers, Jim and Mike Weston. And, I think they both were married and had families and then got divorced in their 50s. And I think Mike ended up, they were kind of from-ish this area. I think they grew up in Bend, Oregon, which is about 200 miles away. Mike found an old mercury prospect up in the mountains here. I think kind of where that rock outcropping is. And, he decided to move out here and work this mercury prospect when he was in his 50s. And then his brother Jim came out here and moved in with him. And, once the two of them were living here, they built a really unique homestead. And they ended up living here for probably 30 years. Well, like I said, their home is right under the road here, and unfortunately, you really can't see much of it anymore. There's a little bit of concrete there, but we'll go down this trail here. Yikes, careful. Oh, look, you can kind of see into the old homestead. Now, you might be wondering why or how they built a road over the top of this homestead. Well, it's because the friggin' homestead was half buried in the first place. These two guys had a Quonset hut, like a decommissioned World War II, those Quonset huts, the half circle buildings that you see out in the desert. Well, they had one of those that they set into the hillside here, and that's what they lived in. My friends who told me about this place showed me an old magazine article they had from 1984 that had photos of the Weston brothers' little house. And let me tell you something, it was so cozy. Sure, it was just a Quonset hut, but all along, I think it was all along the western side here. The wall was lined with all their appliances, their washing machine, I don't know if they had a dryer, but their stove, their refrigerator. And then the other wall was just lined with bookshelves, all their books and mining implements and knickknacks that they had found. And then in the middle, they had a table and their comfy chairs and a couch. And man, it just looked really cozy. And I guess because it was set into the mountainside or kind of dug in, there's a lot of hot springs in this area. So somehow they were able to tap into this, it wasn't really a hot spring, it was a warm spring, about 75 degrees, to heat the house. So even though it gets real snowy and cold up here in the winter, this Quonset hut buried in the side of the mountain always stayed nice and toasty at 75 degrees. I mean, I'm guessing it must have even kind of had heated floors if it was sitting right on top of a warm spring. Now, how cool is that? Now, unfortunately, you really can't see much in the old Quonset hut anymore because I don't know why. I guess after the guys moved out and moved away, somebody came by and shoveled all this dirt in front of the entrance so you can't get in and poke around anymore. You know what I mean? I'm not sure how long. These guys lived here until, the article I read was from 1984. And apparently the Today Show, the morning news show, the Today Show came out here and did a segment on them. They were pretty well known as sort of the reclusive hermit brothers who lived up in a Quonset hut in the side of a mountain. But that was in, I think, 83. And then the article I read was from 84. I don't know how much longer they lived out here, but as of the time of that article, they were in their 70s. So I'm guessing, they probably lived up here until maybe the 90s. And then, when they moved out, the place was abandoned. And so I guess to discourage vandals from coming in or nosy YouTubers from coming in and poking through their things, which I would have loved to do, they filled in the entrance to this. Now, the friend that told me about this place did say he tried to climb in there once, but he said there was just a lot of rats and it was kind of creepy. So I thought, better than that, I'll just use my big, bright O-light marauder to shine a light on in there and see if we can see anything. Okay, this flashlight is no joke. Let's see. Oh, wow. I'm gonna have to get closer to the entrance to show you guys. Oh my God, I'm actually laying on the ground. I feel like I'm in a foxhole in World War I. But this is pretty cool. So I'm not sure why there's these concrete walls on either side. I thought a Quonset had curved metal walls, but this is, I don't know, this is some part of their home. You can see that's their old refrigerator. It's really sad. I don't know how it got turned on its side and got dirt dumped all over it. But then if you look at the ceiling, it's kind of hard to do. Not a lot of space to maneuver. You can see the wooden beams from their ceiling too. And then over there looks like the remnants of one of their shelves. Wow, it's pretty sad to think. I mean, the picture, I'll show you guys the picture I saw of it. It looked like it was really cozy back in the day. Now, unfortunately, looks like nobody living here but some spiders, you know, and rats and snakes and probably bats and God knows what else was down there. Ugh. I'll be honest, my friend took me up here and showed me this, and I was at first kind of tempted to like crawl down in there, but it looks like it's so filled in with dirt that it really wouldn't be any use. And, you know, it'd be kind of depressing because I'd rather remember it as it looked in that picture I saw, which I'll show you guys right now. You just go back over here to my base camp field office. First things first, gotta put my flashlight away. Never know when I'll need that. Out here in the Alvord desert, it gets pretty dark at night. Okay, look, here's the article that my friends were so kind as to even print out for me. So this was the two brothers, Mike and Jim Weston, A Satisfying Solitude. So yeah, the print quality is not that great, but this is the picture that I saw of them sitting in the middle of their Quonset hut. I'm gonna zoom in. Hopefully you guys can see that. They're just so cute. And I mean, just from looking at this picture, it looks like it was pretty friggin' cozy in there. From what I read in this article, you know, they were like, I think they were in their 70s at the time of this article. They got along for the most part, but that's because they supposedly gave each other plenty of space. One of the guys, I think Mike, they had kind of like a little solarium with like a skylight because, you know, being underground, they didn't want it to be dark and gloomy. So they had these skylights cut, and I think Mike slept in the solarium library, and then Jim had like a separate shack somewhere that he would go sleep in. So they gave each other their space. Apparently Mike was much more talkative. Jim was kind of the quiet one. But the one thing they had in common is they both loved to run, even in their 70s. I guess they almost even got sponsored by Nike. I'm not making this up. They got some level of fame for being these two crazy reclusive mercury miners up in the mountains in the middle of nowhere, Oregon. And well, I guess maybe after the Today Show did their segment on them and showed that they were always wearing Nike running shoes because they would run all over the place here. By the way, the mercury diggings from here are like way up there, and they would run across this crazy rugged landscape, just run up there to go work, run back, run down. It's 3 miles down to the road, so to go check their mail, they would run. They were just always running. And I guess they did it ever since they were kids, according to that article. They grew up in the country, and they just always liked to run. And they always wore Nike tennies, so I guess Nike was considering doing some kind of ad campaign with them, which unfortunately they never did, because that would have been so awesome. But gosh, it really doesn't take a whole lot of imagination to imagine or to picture how nice this friggin' homestead must have been. I mean, these are big trees. You know what I mean? So they would have had plenty of shade. And as a matter of fact, they also had plenty of water because, well, aside from the warm spring that they tapped into to heat their house, on the other side of my car there, well, I don't know if you can see down there in the valley, that's a creek. So they had plenty of fresh running water too. In fact, and in my opinion, this is like the coolest thing about this homestead, they had enough water to irrigate this entire orchard. This was their fruit orchard. And the best part is, these trees still bear fruit to this day. And best of all, I happen to be here right during prime harvest season. Okay, I don't really know a lot about fruit trees, but my friend that showed me this place was telling me that there's peaches, apricots, plums, and apples. Oh, here's some plums. And he said it was fine to pick fruit and take it with me, so I'm definitely gonna take some fruit. Let's see if I can find a plum. Oh look, here's a plum, but It feels pretty hard. I don't think it's quite ripe yet, so I'm not sure how that works. If I bring it with me and just let it ripen on my dashboard, would that work? Or does it need to be ripe when I pick it? I'm a city girl. I don't know. I never grew up on no fruit orchard. Wow, there's all kinds of plums on these trees. This is amazing. And then I guess my friend said if you take this trail, it'll lead you. Gotta be careful. There's some. Well, I'm not sure what kind of animals are up here. I've been told there's cougars, bears. I mean, I think it's open rangeland, so cows. Matter of fact, apparently this morning, some cowboys came riding past my campsite. I was asleep, so I didn't see them, but my friends down at the hot spring there told me that they asked me this morning, hey, did you see those cowboys come by your camp this morning at 4 a.m.? I was asleep at 4 a.m., so I missed it, unfortunately, but yeah, how cool is that? There's still like some kind of cow pasture up here. Oh, there's a plum there, but it doesn't, looks like it's still a little bit green, so I don't think that one's ready yet either. Well, maybe I'll try one of the different fruits and see if those are ripe. Let's just continue on down this trail. Oh, I mean, see, you can see some of the plums have already fallen off. Like here's one on the ground. So you would think that one would be ripe. I mean, I don't want to get diarrhea or anything, but I'm kind of curious. Woo! Ah! That's very tart. Not quite ripe yet. I'll leave that one for the birds. Oh wow, look here you can see part of their old irrigation hose is still down here. And it's interesting because, you know, those guys, the brothers, haven't been living here in like 25 years. So that means none of these trees have been getting irrigated in like a quarter of a century. But they're still bearing fruit to this day. How cool is that? You know, it's a really neat legacy they left. Like even long after they're gone, the trees will continue to put out and, well, people like me will enjoy a nice piece of fruit and think back on these awesome brothers. Oh, look at this tree. And what are these? Like some kind of, they almost look like cherries, but cherries grow tree together. Oh, maybe these are apricots. They're pretty hard though. I don't think these are anywhere near ripe. Like I thought if a fruit is ripe, it'll just basically fall right off the branch into your hand kind of a situation. But I want to try one of these guys anyways because, oh gosh, it looks so yummy. Gosh, what could be more all-American than picking fruit from an orchard on a summer's day? So cool. Not bad. I mean, I don't think it's quite ripe yet, but definitely not as tart as the plum. Ugh, smells amazing. Look at the color of that flesh. Yummy. Okay, and then right next to that, I guess, apricot tree, there's an apple tree. Let's check out the apples. Oh my goodness, look at this. I mean, is that, oh, maybe that's not an apple, that's an apricot. So then I don't know what that was that I was just eating. Hopefully it wasn't poisonous. Wow, look at these apricots. Holy cow. Man, I love apricots, but I don't think, I mean, these are really hard. They don't seem like they'd be good to eat yet. Darn it, I guess I must just be like a couple weeks too early. Oh well. Well, let's just keep looking. Oh, here's something kind of cool. Look at this. Unexpected. Stumbling around this abandoned orchard in the mountains. There's a friggin' electrical outlet. My friend was telling me one of the brothers, gosh, I can't remember which one, was like an electrician and knew how to do electrical stuff. And so they actually had heat lamps hooked up so that the peaches didn't freeze at certain times of the year. So we must be by the peaches. I guess maybe these are peach trees, but I don't... Oh, maybe those weren't apricots. Maybe those were peaches. Oh gosh, what do I know? Anyway, there was some peach trees here and they didn't want them to freeze, so they rigged up heat lamps, man. And moreover, they had this workshop, which I'll go show you guys in a minute. But they had this workshop that was kind of... Well, I think it was partially underground or something. I don't know. The one guy rigged a microphone up above it, though, so he could hear the birds chirping and the wind blowing and all the sounds of nature while he was below decks working, which I thought was really cool. And then apparently the microphone also served as a sort of warning system if, like, coyotes or visitors were approaching. Apparently they did get a lot of visitors, like curious people, you know, tourists that were traveling around this lonely, desolate, middle of nowhere Oregon desert. Everybody knew about these two crazy hermit brothers that lived up in this buried Quonset hut. And so apparently they did get a lot of, or a relative amount of traffic. And so having that microphone hanging up above the house or the workshop was kind of like an alarm system. It's pretty neat. Okay, oh, what are these? Okay, this looks like it's the apple tree, right? That's an apple, isn't it? Look at these cute little green apples. God didn't make little green apples, and it don't rain on the Alvord desert in the summertime. It's actually raining right now a little bit. Or how about this? Don't sit under the apple tree with anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. No, no, no. Anyone else but me. Oh, no, no. Don't sit under the apple tree with anyone else but me till I come marching home. Remember that was like the Andrews sisters from World War II? Because those GIs would go over to the war and, well, their girl back home, you know, they'd write letters to her and she'd write letters to them, but, you know, they're like clear across the world fighting a war, and next thing you know, their pretty little girl is sitting under the apple tree with somebody else. Huh. I don't know what these are. Wow, there's just so many cool fruits here. This is amazing. It's like being in the Garden of Eden. Some more, I don't know, gosh, peaches maybe? Well, unfortunately, they're all too hard. They're not quite ripe yet. And yeah, like I just said, it kind of did sprinkle a little bit. I don't think they get much rain here, so even if it does quote unquote rain, it'll just be a delightful sprinkle. Okay, now this apple tree actually looks like, oh, these are pears. Holy cow, a pear tree. I wonder if there's a partridge in it. Look at that. Oh my gosh, man, these are like big enough where they almost seem like, I don't know, pears are pretty firm anyways. I'm gonna try a bite. Not quite yet, but almost. These are pretty close, yeah. Wow, I mean, you can really see these guys actually had a little paradise up here. I mean, just for reference, we're up in this rugged, amazing canyon, which they somehow were able to cultivate all these fruit trees. But then if we turn around and look at the view, look what they were looking at. That crazy dry lake bed. That was their view. Can you imagine? It's almost like having an ocean view in a way. It looks like you're looking out across a lake, which I guess you are, just a dry lake. And yeah, they were like 100 miles, I think, from the closest store. And like I said, 3 miles to the mailbox. And well, it wasn't an easy life, but I think the article said they kept like 6 months worth of supplies on hand. They grew almost all their own food, but whatever they didn't grow that they needed, you know, they just kept a lot of supplies on hand. And well, sometimes they were snowed in or stuck for months at a time. So they were really self-sufficient, but it seemed to me like they were probably pretty dang happy. And well, I can see why. This place, I guess why I like this place so much and why I was so taken with the story of these two brothers is, well, it kind of reminds me of me and my sister. My sister that I used to travel around with a lot. Well, she and I were actually trying to buy a little desert ranch of our own. Shh, don't tell anyone. We thought it would be cool to buy some property out in the desert. And then that way we could just have our own little base camp, clubhouse, you know, live there. You know, my sister did a month-long Earthship building internship in Taos, New Mexico. So she wants to try to use some of those sustainable building practices. And I don't know, it just seemed like it'd be a really cool thing. So we are actively on the lookout for land on which to have our little desert compound. And we actually already found one really cool place. And we made an offer on it. We toured it and everything and then made an offer. But unfortunately, that one didn't work out. My sister's kind of in charge of all the business dealings because she's the one with the head for that kind of stuff. You know, me, I just went and looked at the place and went, oh, well, this is cool. But she actually crunched the numbers and, you know, sadly that deal didn't work out, but hopefully we will find a place somewhere. There's a place for us somewhere. But who knows? Maybe it'll be up here. Maybe it'll be down in the Mojave. Maybe it'll be down in the Sonoran Desert. We'll find a place though. And well, with any luck, we'll be able to create a little paradise just like these Weston brothers did. The Weston brothers, aka the mole men of the Alvord Desert. One last peek at the only thing left of their old Quonset hut. Hike up to the car. Okay, now let's cruise on down the little road and check out their workshop. Because the workshop is actually still standing. Okay, gosh, it smells so amazing out here right now. All this sagebrush. And I guess it did sprinkle rain a little bit last night. So, man, you can imagine how it smells. Anyway, this is where their processing facility was for the mercury, I guess. Check this out. But look at this workshop, and it's still standing pretty impressively. Really solidly constructed. And again, oh my God, look at the amazing view it had. Wow. Look at this old wood burning stove, or maybe this was some kind of smelter or something. Yeah. Wow. And that woods. But you know what I mean? Like, look at how it's framed out. It's a really nice building. They even had some kind of sofa or sofa bed. Oh wow, look at this old furnace. Amazing. And it looks like people have been up here over the years and carved their names and stuff. But look at the floor too. Look how nice these floorboards are. I mean, this was really built nicely. These guys knew what they were doing. I mean, I'm sure my sisters and my property won't be anywhere near as nicely built as this, but hey, we'll do our best. Oh wow, far out. You can see the cowboys on the cattle drive way up on the top of the ridge. Look. Oh man, I don't have time to get out my optical zoom, but how cool is that? I guess there's some kind of pasture up there that they're driving all the cows to or from. Oh my God, sorry it's moving around so much. That is amazing. Holy cow, those are the guys that rode right past my car this morning while I was peacefully sleeping at 4 a.m. And it's interesting because I was out here, you know, shooting this video and I kept thinking that I was hearing voices. I'm like, okay, either I'm losing it or, well, maybe this old Weston homestead is haunted by the ghosts of Jim and Mike Weston. Then I looked up on the ridge and there was a logical explanation for it. Logical, but still just as cool. Anyway, I just went a little bit farther down the road because I wanted to show you guys, this is where they did their, well, I don't know if you call it smelting or what. They were mining mercury, which I guess mercury is found in cinnabar ore. And so they had this little homemade kind of, I don't know if you'd call it a furnace or what. And this is where they would somehow boil the mercury out of the cinnabar. Whew, I mean, I can't imagine that it was a very pleasant process. And I really can't imagine that it really could have been okay to be exposed to that much mercury vapor. But, I mean, like I said, they lived long lives and they were very healthy, so who knows, man? But apparently the market for mercury wasn't that good, according to the article I read anyways. Like they were saying, I think it was like $2 an ounce back then, and well, they were lucky because some dentist in Bend bought like 2 pounds of it from them so he could do the, you know how they used to do those mercury fillings. But nowadays, you know, now that they don't do mercury fillings anymore, I don't know how these guys would have made money. They would have had to sell the mercury to, oh, I'm sure mercury has plenty of other industrial applications. So they probably would have been okay. But I don't know, it's just like, it's like any business. You know, back in the day, a mom and pop operation, you know, might be able to survive. You could eke out a living. But nowadays, gosh, it's hard to compete with all these multinational corporations, and that extends to mining too. Okay, well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this awesome tour of this amazing little mercury mining operation and abandoned ghost orchard slash cattle drive. Oh, you can still see them up there. Way out here on the edge of the lonely Alvord desert. Man, this part of the country is fascinating, and I can't believe it's taken me this long to get up here and explore it. But I'm planning to be out here for at least a couple more days, and I've got a few more places I want to explore, so stay tuned. Those videos will be coming to my channel soon.